back to another episode of the Self Development with Tactics podcast. You cannot see anything in the background yet, but I am willing to go through another one of Tim Ferriss' articles. I believe they are, first of all, quite well written and also worth going through. But before I'm doing this, the Neural Network newsletter by Andrew Huberman, which is all about, scientific things. And there is the June 22nd, June 2022 newsletter, but there should be the July 2022 very soon. I would have hoped that it would be published a bit earlier, but it is fine, I guess. It is okay. I can work with that, I guess. Anyway, this is the one that I went through, I think, completely up until now. Yesterday I should have finished it, and yes, it seems to be the case that I did. So let's have a look. There are several different categories or tags or whatever you want to call them. One of them being low information diet, marketing, mental performance, mini retirements, music samples, nonsense, opening the kimono, OTK, physical performance, practical philosophy, presentations, protecting time, psychedelics, quarterly shipments, and ran them. Let's have a look at practical philosophy, whether we can find something useful there. Forget New Year's resolution and conduct a past year review instead. 28 ways to find the stillness you need to thrive. Let's have a look. It probably is a guest article by Ryan Holiday, and yes, it indeed is. Let's have a look. 28 ways to find the stillness you need to thrive, from September 22nd, 2019, by Tim Ferriss. Not really, but still. And there's also 16 comments, and the topic is practical philosophy, as we have figured out before as well. The following is a guest post from Ryan Holiday. Ryan is one of the world's foremost thinkers and writers on Asian philosophy and its place in everyday life. He is a sought-after speaker and strategist and the author of many best-selling books, including The Obstacle is the Way, Ego is the Enemy, and The Daily Stoic. His books have been translated into more than 30 languages and have sold more than 2 million copies worldwide. He lives outside Austin, Texas with his family. You can follow him, Ryan Holiday, or subscribe to his writing at ryanholiday.net, and also thedailystoic.com or dailystoic.com, a site that I've been on before. I think is really useful and good if you're interested in Stoicism and quiet philosophy in general, I'd have to say. But yeah, enter Ryan. The Buddhist word for it was Ubekka, Upekkkha. The Muslims spoke of Aslama, the Hebrews Hishtavut, I guess, or Histavut. The second book of the Bhagavad Gita, the epic poem of the warrior Arjuna, speaks of samatvam, an evenness of mind, a peace that is ever the same. The Greeks euthymia and hesychia, the Epicureans ataraxia, and the Christians aequanimitas. Yes. Which reminds me of equilibrium for whatever reason. In English, stillness, to be steady while the world spins around you, to act without frenzy, to hear only what needs to be heard, to possess quietude, exterior and interior on command. Stillness is that quiet moment when inspiration hits you. It's the ability to step back and reflect. It is what makes room for gratitude and happiness. It is one of the most powerful forces on earth. We all need stillness, but those of us charging ahead with big plans and big dreams need most of all. Still, the word stillness can feel vague or ephemeral. It doesn't need to be. There are in fact concrete and actionable ways to bring it into your life. It doesn't just happen. You have to put in the work. You have to follow the guidance of the masters. For many years I've been a student of and writer about Stoicism and Asian philosophy popular in the Roman Empire. Tim published my first book about Stoicism as part of his Tim Ferriss book club. The Obstacle is the Way and Ego is the Enemy for my latest book, Stillness is the Key. I looked at not just Stoicism, but Buddhism, Confucianism, Epicureanism, Christianity, Hinduism, and countless other philosophical schools and religions, and found out that the one thing all these schools share is a pursuit of this inner peace, the stillness, and a belief that it's the key to a happy and meaningful life. As a result, here are 28 proven exercises from across all the wisdom of the Asian world that will help you keep steady, disciplined, focused, at peace, and able to access your full capabilities at any time and any place, despite any distraction and every difficulty. These steps will work if you work them. Period. Journal. Michael Foucault, or Michel Foucault, called the journal a weapon for spiritual combat. According to her father, Otto, Anne Frank didn't write in her journal every day, but she always wrote when she was upset or healing with a problem. One of her best and most insightful lines must have come on a particularly difficult day. Paper, she said, has more patience than people. I journal each morning as a way of starting the day off fresh. I put my baggage down on the page so that I don't carry it to meetings or to breakfast with my family. I start the day with stillness by pouring out what is not still into my journal. But there is no right way or wrong way to journal. The point is just do it. And I think it is also great work to clarify your thinking around various different things. See the world like an artist. Marcus Aurelius, who is supposedly this dark, depressive Stoic, seems to have seen beauty every day. Why else would he write so vividly of the ordinary way that baking bread splits in places and those cracks, while not intended in the baker's art, catch our eye and serve to stir our appetite? Or of the stalks of ripe grain, bending below the frowning brow of the lion, the foam dripping from the boar's mouth, while other people are oblivious to or overwhelmed by what surrounds them. We want to practice really seeing. Try to notice the little things. Look at that tree like you're painting and trying to understand its essence. Observe that interaction with your parents like you were a stand-up comedian looking for material. An artist must be present, an artist must notice, an artist is still. Manage your inputs. This might, especially right now, be a big one. Back in the days, I don't really think that it's been such a difficult thing. There have not been too many inputs, but at this point in time, there are so many outlets, so many things, period. As a general, Napoleon instructed his secretary to wait 3 weeks before opening any mail or correspondence. He wanted to see what would handle itself. One way I do this is with email filters. If I see an email is not urgent or not from a trusted source, I put it into a folder and sit on it. I like to reply on airplanes without Wi-Fi weeks or months later. Another way to do this is through gatekeepers. Having an assistant or an agent or a chief of staff means that trivial things have a harder time getting to you. You're the boss, and the boss's time must be protected so that with stillness you can give what matters your full attention. Take walks. Nietzsche said that the idea in Das Spoke Zarathustra came to him on a long walk, which is, by the way, a book that I've also reviewed and went through the whole book, by the way, on the podcast. It's, a few months ago. But yeah, Nikola Tesla discovered the rotating magnetic field, one of the most important scientific discoveries of all time, on a walk through a city park in Budapest in 1882. When he lived in Paris, Ernest Hemingway would take long walks along the quays whenever he was stuck in his writing and needed to clarify his thinking. The cantankerous philosopher Soren Kierkegaard walked the streets of Copenhagen nearly every afternoon, as he wrote to his sister-in-law. Every day I walk myself into a state of well-being. I take a 2 to 3 mile walk each morning with my son. Ideas for this very post came to me there. And I don't know if it is about walks, but just moving in general, whether it is riding your bike, whether it is something else. moving is important, and moving is also, I would say, necessary um, for actually having peace of mind, I think. Detach from outcomes. Archery master Ava Kenzo spent little time teaching his students how to deliberately aim and shoot. What Kenzo wanted students to do was to put the thought of hitting the target out of their minds. He wanted them to detach even from the idea of an outcome. The hits on a target, he would say, are only the outward proof and confirmation of your purposelessness at its highest, of your egolessness, your self abandonment, or whatever you like to call this state. This is something writers know well. You can't think about the bestsellers list or awards or even the act of publishing. You must focus only on the page in front of you. You must learn how to let go and let the process take over. Stop watching the news. The number one thing to filter out if you want more equanimity in your life, the news. If you wish to improve, Epictetus said, be content to appear clueless or stupid in extraneous matters. Not only does news cost us our peace of mind, but it actually prevents us from creating real change right now. Being informed is important. Watching the news in real time is not how you get there. Ask questions, as in, do I need this? If I get what I want, what will actually change? Why do I care what they think? What am I working on in myself today? Will this matter in 5 years? What if I did nothing? Questions like these help us calm the anxieties in our head and help us slow down, allowing room for stillness. It's important to question our beliefs and our instincts. Tim has some awesome, quote-unquote, impossible questions that will also lead to stillness. What are the worst things that could happen? What is the least crowded channel? Do I need to make it back the way I lost it? What if I could only subtract to solve problems? Could it be that everything is fine and complete as is? Read books. Turn off your radio, Dorothy Day, the Catholic journalist and social activist, wrote in her diary in 1942, put away your daily paper and spend time reading. She meant books. Big, smart, wonderful books. If you're stressed, stop whatever you're doing and sit down with a book. You'll find yourself calming down. You'll get absorbed into a different world. William Osler, the founder of Johns Hopkins University, told aspiring medical students that when chemistry or anatomy distress their soul, to seek peace in the great Pacifier, whatever, Shakespeare. It doesn't have to be plays. Any great literature will do. Books are a way to get stillness on demand. Might also be audiobooks, by the way. Put your phone away. Remember, your phone is designed for one thing, to make you want to use it. And the apps on your phone have the same motivation too. That is two very motivated ecosystems that are not aligned with your stillness. My screen time reducing rules. I don't sleep in the same room as my phone. I don't check my phone for at least the first hour of the day. I turn off all alarms and notifications, and if there is something I can do with a device other than my phone, I use that. Example, I don't journal on your phone. Get a paper journal, or maybe use your computer. If this is better or not, or better than a phone, doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Get rid of stuff. If it is causing us anxiety or worry, be careful or you'll break it. We get rid of it. The less you have to be worked up about. The less you are precious about, the less it can be taken from you by swings of fate or bad luck. Yes. I've not read the whole one, so there's a bit more to that, but I think get rid of stuff makes it quite clear what it is all about. And yes, I also quite dislike having too much at this point. I'd like to just have what I need, and I actually do not need more. There is quite not that much that I need, nor want, nor whatever. And I think at some point it becomes quite clear that just because one, maybe has more or has this, that, or the other thing, that things do not get better by having more things. Seek solitude. If I was to sum up the single biggest problem of senior leadership in the information age, four-star Marine Corps General and former Secretary of Defense James Mattis has said, it's lack of reflection. Solitude allows you to reflect while others are racing. Bill Gates schedules think weeks where he goes off by himself and just reads and thinks. I like to do my thinking while running and swimming and taking walks, and many of my books' ideas have come from these activities. Randall Stutman, who for decades has been the behind-the-scenes advisor for many of the biggest CEOs and leaders on Wall Street, once studied how several hundred senior executives of major corporations recharged in their downtime. The answers were things like swimming, sailing, long-distance cycling, listening quietly to classical music, scuba diving, riding motorcycles, and fly fishing. All these activities, he noticed, had one thing in common: an absence of voices. If you're surrounded by others constantly, you're likely to think and act as they do. To be original, you have to spend time alone. To have peace, you need solitude too. I'm gonna end the episode here. I think there's quite a bit left for the next time. I do hope that I've been able to share something of value with you, and if I have, maybe share the episode, subscribe to the podcast. There's gonna be more of such things. And up until then, gonna see you the next time, at least hope. So, bye bye.